Hey guys, it's Melanie. Welcome back to the second in-depth candle review of the day. I hope you are having a fantastic afternoon. If you missed it a little bit earlier today, I did share my thoughts on my experience, my personal experience burning the new Kringle 4-wick format. I will link that video in the description box right below this one here. If you'd like to check that out, feel free to do so. But in this video, we are going to tackle a new Kringle Reserve fragrance that was recently launched. And this is Spiced Orange and Cranberry. Admittedly, I don't know that I feel like this one really belongs in the Reserve line. I feel like I have smelled this particular fragrance a lot of other times from a lot of other candle companies. Every candle company maybe does it just ever so slightly differently, if you will. But I do feel like this is a very common type of fruity holiday blend. And I was kind of surprised to see something like this pop up in the Reserve line. I think that I would have personally just liked to have seen this in the regular holiday 2-wick classic jar lineup versus taking the spot of maybe another Reserve fragrance that was more unique, more interesting. But all that being said, I don't think this is a bad scent. Listen, I do actually like this one. I don't love it. I've never really loved the orange and cranberry fragrances like this. They're okay. I certainly love cranberry scents. I certainly love orange fragrances. But when they are paired together in a scent like this, I don't know, it smells kind of generic to me. So yeah, all that being said, let's go ahead and review this one in the usual format. So we'll read through the scent story. We'll talk about the fragrance notes. I'll tell you what I smell, and it's really nothing exotic. We'll talk strength and throw, which in this case has been pretty good. So if that's what you're looking for, you might really enjoy this one. And then we'll talk any potential burnt issues that have come up. So let's go ahead and read the story here. So the description for Spiced Orange and Cranberry reads, a festive accord of juicy cranberry paired with the enticing nuances of simmering citrus fruits and an aromatic spice blend. Okay, at the top we have berry and citrus. At the mid notes we have ginger and effervescence. And at the base we have spiced berry. So what are you smelling here? Okay, first of all, I do think it's a very, I would say, kind of straightforward cranberry. It's slightly tart, it's slightly sweet, and it smells like cranberry. So it's a nice cranberry, okay? The citrus that I'm smelling here, I feel like is mostly probably like a traditional navel orange, if you will. I don't know that there's anything special about the orange. It definitely is complementing the cranberries, I guess you could say. But it is just kind of a straightforward, more juicy orange note. In terms of the ginger, I don't know that I get a whole lot of ginger out of this one personally. I'm pretty sensitive to ginger, so I can usually detect that in most fragrances. Ginger isn't my favorite fragrance note, so yeah, I don't dislike it the way that, I dislike peppermint or eucalyptus, but also it's not something that I'm particularly drawn to. So when I notice it in fragrances, it really does kind of stand out to my nose, and I'm not getting the ginger here. But what I am getting is this effervescence. It's almost like they added the cranberries and the orange slices to a glass of sparkling wine. There really is this kind of bubbly, or what they're calling an effervescence note to this scent. I do think it works with the fragrance overall. There are some spices present here. It's not super heavy on cinnamon or anything like that, but in the picture you do see some nutmeg, you see some star anise. I definitely smell a little bit of that star anise, which if you've ever smelled this particular spice, like in a bag or, you know, like a little container or something, it kind of gives you like a touch of almost licorice. And I can definitely detect that in here. I do smell some nutmeg as well, but it's not an overly spicy scent. I think it's the right amount of spice. It really lets the orange and the cranberry shine. This is a sweet scent, but I don't think it's overly sweet. I don't think it's cloying. It's pleasant the way that it is blended. But as far as the scent goes, again, I just don't think that this one is all that special or unique. I feel like a lot of candles, maybe from some more like generic candle brands that I sometimes come across at Home Goods, Marshalls, TJ Maxx, they have a fragrance very similar to this one. And it's not what I personally gravitate towards when it comes to holiday candles. You guys know how I feel about cranberry. One of my favorite cranberry fragrances of all time is cranberry chutney. But I like cranberry, I think, when it's a little bit more pure and mostly is the star of the show. And the orange here really is, I don't want to say competing, but it's definitely, the two notes are, you know, right at the top, and it's equal parts of both. So, and I love a citrus. Listen, one of my favorite citrus scents is, well, I love my vintage pomander, obviously, but outside of that, their Sicilian orange, I think, is absolutely lovely. I think that Kringle does citrus quite well. But yeah, it's just, I hate to say it, but I think it just smells kind of generic to me. So that being said, I do think a lot of people enjoy this type of fragrance. And if that's you, I can tell you that the strength and throw of this has been quite good. So I would say when I first started burning this one, I'm just at the halfway point right now. By the way, I will turn the jar here in a second, but probably for the first like 5 or 6 burns, I think the strength and throw of this was a little bit closer to an 8. Now on these subsequent burns, after kind of like the first half of the candle here, I am noticing that it's a little bit more along the lines of like a 7, 7.5. It's starting to like wane just a little bit. So that being said though, this is one of those fragrances that you are absolutely going to notice when you walk into a room. You can't really hide from it. I do think that it is the type of scent that kind of wants to compete with other fragrances. So it's best kind of maybe left on its own. Or I have been enjoying this one alongside the Christmas fragrance as well as Christmas Stroll. So if you pair it with either of those, the competition isn't quite as aggressive, I guess you could say. But yeah, good strength, good throw. Burn issues, listen, there were none. This has been doing just fine. You can see here that I am at the halfway point. I did just light this right before filming this video, so you can see it's just starting to liquefy over here. I have trimmed these wicks between each burn. This isn't one where you're getting huge mushroom tops or anything like that, but you do get like a pretty solid but smaller carbon ball that forms at the top. I just nip that part off and then I light from there. So I did light a couple of times without doing that, and I noticed that those like more, these mushroom tops are different, I feel like, than what I normally get. Like they really are kind of solid and hard, but they definitely pop off if you don't trim them off after lighting. So luckily mine have just kind of popped off to the side of the jar and then landed within the wax. But I think it's a good idea to trim these wicks at least a little bit before each burn. But other than that, the burn has been clean. The wax is not discolored, and it's got a good strength and throw. And if this is the type of fragrance that you are interested in, then I would say go for it. But I also think that you can find things very similar to this if you just make your way to your local discount stores. I was actually at my local, what was it, Home Goods? Yeah, I think it was my local Home Goods a couple of weeks ago, picking up a couple of last minute Christmas decor things. And I took a little stroll through the candle aisle, and I think I probably picked up at least 3 candles from 3 different companies that had a very similar scent profile to this. So I don't think you necessarily have to spend the money on this Kringle Reserve fragrance to get something very similar. So anyway, for what it's worth, I don't know. I just don't think that this particular fragrance is special enough to belong in the Reserve line. But I have had a good burn experience with it, and if you adore this type of scent, you're probably gonna wanna pick this one up. So check it out if you're interested. Let me know if you have any questions. Please let me know your thoughts on this one if you picked it up during the most recent launch. Leave your thoughts in the comments down below. Don't forget to check the description box for the link to the first video today, and I'll put a link down there to where to shop with Kringle Candle. Put my discount code down there. That'll save you 15% off of anything that you are picking up from the Kringle website. So happy shopping if you choose to partake. There is one more candle review coming a little bit later on today, so make sure that you're subscribed. That way it'll pop up in your subscription feed. And I will see you guys in the next one. Take care. Toodaloo.